Revolut has launched a new feature that allows you to earn reward points on your debit card spending. And yes, you heard me right, your debit card transactions will now earn you points that can be converted into airline miles such as Avios or exchanged for cashback. So it basically sounds like Amex, but on a debit card, meaning that you don't have to worry about all this credit history stuff that's usually associated with getting approved for a credit card. But can Revolut actually compete with Amex and other credit card issuers in terms of rewards? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out today, because in this video we're taking a closer look at Revolut Points, how you can earn them, how you can spend them, and how much savings they can actually generate. In case you've never heard about Revolut before, let me give you just a little bit of a background. Revolut is basically a financial super app, as they call it, that can give you a debit card, a savings account, access to an investment platform, and a bunch of other finance and lifestyle related services. I also just want to highlight that Revolut is not a bank in the UK, unlike Monzo for example, but they have been trying to get a banking license here in the UK for a number of years now. So with background out of the way, let's move on to Revolut Points. The first thing we're going to look at is how you can actually earn them. And the most obvious way to do that is via debit card spending. The exact number of points you're going to earn for spending money on a debit card depends on the kind of plan that you have with Revolut. Specifically, if you have the standard plan, which is their free offering, you'll get 1 Revolut point per £10 spent, which, even though we don't know how much 1 Revolut point is worth yet, does not sound like a lot, does it? If you have a higher tier plan such as Premium, you're gonna get 1 point per £4 spent. If you have Metal, that's gonna double to 1 point per £2. And then finally with Ultra, you're gonna get 1 point per every pound spent. All these account types that I mentioned are basically just the various subscription tiers that Revolut offers to their users. The standard one is free, and then the higher of the plan you have, the more fees you have to pay, and also the more additional benefits that you get. For instance, the highest tier, which is called Ultra, I reviewed last year when it just launched, and I'm gonna leave a link to that video down below in the description. Another way to earn more points without having to pay for a more expensive plan is by using Revolut's shopping portal. So yeah, if you go to the shop section of your app and you choose one of the stores, let's go with Amazon for example, you're gonna see that when shopping on Amazon through Revolut, you're gonna get 3x points, as long as you just go to Amazon via the Revolut app instead of going to their website directly, so that Revolut can track your transaction and award you additional points. Different merchants do have different multipliers. For example, there are some here that have 5x, but they're also a lot more niche than Amazon, where you can buy practically anything. And finally, in terms of earning points, let's talk about the various bonuses that allow you to get bigger chunks of Revolut points. First of all, when you enable the points feature in your app, Revolut is going to give you a welcome bonus challenge where you have to make 150 debit card transactions within 3 months in order to get a welcome bonus of 3,000 Revolut points. There doesn't seem to be a minimum amount limit per transaction. At least I wasn't able to find one in the terms and conditions. And also when I made a £1 transaction just to test it out, it did count against my 150 transactions counter. Whether 3,000 points as a welcome bonus is a good deal or not, we're going to talk about a little bit later when we figure out how much 1 point is actually worth. But another type of bonus that Revolut offers is the so-called plan upgrade bonus, where they try to incentivize you to upgrade to a higher tier of Revolut and pay them some more money basically, and in exchange they can give you a chunk of points. The exact amount of the bonus is going to depend on which plan you are currently at and which plan you are upgrading to, but for example, if you're going from standard all the way to ultra, you're going to get 10,000 Revolut points as a bonus. But also, to be clear, all these bonuses also have a spending challenge attached, which means that you have to spend £2,000 on your debit card within 90 days of upgrading in order to get these upgrade bonuses. And lastly, there are a bunch of smaller changes available in the app, such as setting up a budget, opening a savings pot, and so on. Basically, taking small actions within Revolut app that's going to reward you with token amounts of Revolut points. I have completed a few of those challenges and earned a grand total of 15 points. So we've now talked quite a bit about earning Revolut points, but the interesting question is, how much are these actually worth? And that depends on exactly how you're able to spend them. And here the exciting bit, at least for me, is that the Revolut points can be converted into airline miles, and there is even a decent selection of airlines, and the conversion happens at the rate of 1-to-1. And this also immediately tells us that Revolut points have a floor cash value of at least 0.5p per point. Why is that? Well, because you can transfer them into British Airways Avios, and those can be converted into Nectar points, and Nectar points can be used to pay for your shopping at Nectar partners such as Sainsbury's at the exact rate of 0.5p per point. But also more generally, since Revolut points can be converted into airline miles, my suggestion would be to think of them when you're trying to value them the same as you think of Avios or Amex membership reward point, basically saying that one Revolut point is roughly worth the same as one Avios or one membership reward point from American Express. However, transferring these points to miles is not the only way to spend them, as Revolut also offers you a few more ways to redeem these points where you get to use them sort of like cashback. I do have to note though that Revolut doesn't really publish any fixed redemption rate when it comes to using the points as cashback, but we do have a few examples to look at and try and work it out on our own. For example, you can use your points to part pay for a booking on Revolut Stays, which is their platform for reserving hotels and other types of accommodation. So here in the app it says that you can use 2,000 Revolut points to get a £40 discount off of Sofitel London Gatwick when you book through Revolut Stays. That is actually a terrific value because 2,000 points in exchange to £40 of discount works out to 2p per point. If you then want to use more points like 4,000 points, that will give you a discount of £80, and the great value of 2p per point still holds here. And finally, if you want to use 6,000 points, it tells you that this will give you a discount of £100, which works out to 1.6p per point. And while this is still very good value, we can see that as you use more points, the value per point goes down. And while I have no idea how this is going to work in practice, I can guess that the more points that you're trying to use, the less value per point you are going to be getting. On top of that, to get this discount, you have to book your hotel through Revolut Stays, and it is not guaranteed that Revolut Stays is actually going to have the best price available out there. So personally, in terms of value in Revolut points, I would just stick to the airline miles and say that one Revolut point is roughly worth one Avios or one Amex membership reward point. So are Revolut points worth chasing, and am I going to now ditch my Amex Platinum and switch to Revolut? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But generally, I don't think that Revolut has to compete with Amex and other credit card issuers because Revolut is a debit card. And if we are talking about debit cards that earn you rewards for spending, then the only other one that I can think of is the Chase card that gives you 1% cashback on all of your purchases, but that cashback is capped at £15 a month. So for example, if you're making a large purchase, which for any reason you cannot use a credit card for, then even on the Revolut standard plan, the rate of one Avios per £10 spent is still better than nothing, especially again on a large purchase. For instance, one use case that comes to mind is paying your tax bill with HMRC, which they allow you to use a debit card but not a credit card. And Chase, for example, explicitly excludes tax payments from the terms and conditions of their cashback. With Revolut, though, it's not so clear-cut. I don't see a clear no, but their terms and conditions do mention financial services, and I'm not sure whether or not tax payments goes into the financial services bucket or not, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, going back slightly, I do think there is one case where Revolut can actually compete with the likes of Amex in terms of earning rewards, and that is if you are already an existing Revolut Ultra customer, meaning that you already use Ultra and you're already paying that fee and you're finding it valuable based on the existing benefits. In that case, the addition of earning points at the rate of one Revolut point per pound spent at the very least is not any worse than what you get with the Amex Platinum, but at the same time, Revolut is actually a debit card and it's going to be much more widely accepted than the Amex. And on top of that, unlike most UK credit cards, Revolut doesn't charge you any fees for spending money abroad. So yeah, I think for existing Ultra customers, Revolut Points is especially great news. But then regardless of the earning rate on your plan, I'm just generally excited to see this feature, not just because you can earn reward points on your debit card now, but because it generally means that the UK market of reward credit and debit cards is expanding, and more competition hopefully means better deals for us customers in the future. And by the way, if you do want to see that video where I reviewed Revolut Ultra in detail, here it is. And alternatively, if you want to learn more about the various reward credit cards available in the UK, click on the video on the right. And in the meantime, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.